Okay, so are you ready to like dive into something really fascinating?
Always.
We're talking about the Old Testament,
Okay.
specifically Yahweh,
Mhm.
a figure who honestly might be like way more complex than most people think.
Yeah.
So the source material for this deep dive is an interview with Calogero Grafassi.
Right.
He's a hypnotist who specializes in spiritual investigations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He uses a technique, it's called investigative hypnosis,
Okay.
and he interviews a woman named Catalina,
hmm
and she acts as like a telepathic support for his work.
That's fascinating.
It is really fascinating, and through this method, they've like tapped into some pretty wild information about Yahweh,
Like what?
like his energy, his appearance, even a possible connection to the Anunnaki.
Wow.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
So I'm so glad to have you here to help me unpack all of this.
I'm excited to be here.
So welcome to the deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
I am like so excited to explore this with you.
This is definitely a topic that I think is ready for some exploration,
Exactly.
especially given how much our understanding of, ancient texts and spirituality is like evolving.
Yeah, it's like changing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see where all this goes.
Yes, so let's just jump right in.
Okay.
So, Catalina's visions of Yahweh right off the bat,
Right.
they paint a very different picture than like what a lot of people might expect.
Yeah.
She describes him as this incredibly powerful being with wings
Wow.
that like literally encompass the earth.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah, it is. It's like he's this cosmic puppet master, controlling everything,
Right.
watching everything.
Yeah.
And she describes him asking like, do you like to play?
Oh, really?
In a very superior,
Wow.
teacher-like tone.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit chilling, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like this idea of a deity treating humanity like playthings.
It's definitely a different view, I think,
Yeah.
than the traditional view.
It's like a little of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scary. Like, does he even care about us?
Yeah, it makes you think about free will
Yeah.
a lot.
Right.
Do we really have control?
Like, are we just playing his game?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's like the visual of Yahweh's eye.
Okay.
Not the symbol of the eye of Horus,
Mm-hmm.
but an actual single elongated oscillating eye
Oh, wow.
with a distinct yellow-green iris.
It's interesting how she's seeing like that
Yeah.
ancient Egyptian symbolism, but then also something even older,
Yeah, like,
maybe even more powerful.
yeah, it's almost like a blend of ancient Egyptian symbolism with something
Yeah.
even more ancient and powerful.
Right.
And it gets even more complex when you consider the description of Yahweh's etheric DNA.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Catalina sees it as a combination of like multiple extraterrestrial species.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like these intricate spirals upon spirals,
Okay.
all connected by a central point of light.
Interesting.
The central light is really key though, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like a thread connecting the Earth to
Yeah.
other planets and galaxies.
That's
Like it almost suggests that Yahweh isn't just limited to our planet,
yeah, it's like a universal God.
Yeah, like his influence goes like way beyond
It makes you think about how
what we can even comprehend.
ancient cultures, like way back then,
Yeah.
how they might have interpreted these beings with this technology and knowledge.
Yeah.
Like-
Like were they gods to them?
Yeah.
Were they scary?
Were they something to revere?
Yeah.
Like, what was it?
That's a great point.
It really like flips the script on our understanding of history and spirituality,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Absolutely.
And speaking of flipping the script,
Okay.
Catalina also describes Yahweh's DNA as being like intertwined with Moses's.
With Moses.
Yeah.
Wow.
She even says it's like Moses was a puppet
Oh, really?
being controlled by Yahweh.
Hello.
It's a powerful image.
It is.
I mean, it makes you really question like the nature of prophecy.
And divine inspiration.
Yeah, like
Wait.
how much say did they actually have?
Exactly.
That is true.
Were they just vessels for Yahweh's will?
Exactly.
Or was there like a genuine dialogue, a
Yeah.
back and forth, Catalina does mention a conflict between Moses and Yahweh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Regarding human suffering,
Okay.
it seems like Moses believed that suffering wasn't necessary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But ultimately, Yahweh's influence, like, won out.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. And it brings up that age-old question, like, why do bad things happen to good people?
Yeah.
Yeah. If Yahweh's really benevolent, like,
Yeah.
why is there so much pain and hardship in the world?
It's a question that's plagued us for millennia.
Seriously, it's so tough to even grapple with. Like,
Yeah.
why is this happening?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder if there's more to the story than, like, we've been told.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's like shift gears a little bit.
And try to, like, decode Yahweh's name itself, those 4 Hebrew letters,
Right.
YHWH.
Right.
Casalina sees those letters transforming into, like, a vertical
Okay.
DNA-like structure,
Interesting.
with each letter symbolizing a stage in the merging and separation of masculine and feminine energies.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like this cosmic dance of duality.
It reminds me of the yin and yang concept
Yes.
in Eastern philosophy.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
the Y represents like that initial union of those energies.
Mm-hmm.
The H signifies like their horizontal equality.
Right.
The W is where they converge.
Yes.
And that final H shows that single energy dividing back into 2.
It's really a puzzle.
Yeah. It's like a puzzle.
A code.
A code for understanding the very like forces
Yeah.
that drive creation and destruction.
Absolutely.
But here's where things get really weird.
Okay.
Casalina believes that Yahweh,
Mm-hmm.
at least like he's depicted in the Old Testament,
Right.
is actually a projection of the church itself.
The church.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she even goes further to suggest that this projection is supported by the Anunnaki.
The Anunnaki.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
It is a bold claim.
Yeah.
Essentially, what she's suggesting is that this powerful being
Hmm.
is being used as a tool to control humanity
Through fear.
through fear.
Mm.
It's a heavy accusation,
It is.
but it really makes you think about the role of fear in religion.
It does.
Yeah.
Think about all the stories
Well,
of divine punishment and wrath
Yeah.
that we find in the Old Testament.
Yeah, exactly. And not just the Old Testament. Like, a lot of religions throughout history
Throughout history, yeah.
have used fear as like a means of control.
But it also raises the question, though.
Yeah.
Is it intentional?
Right.
Or is it, as Catalina suggests,
Yeah.
like a projection of our own
Yeah.
fears and insecurities?
Like, are we creating this God?
Obviously.
Right. So it's definitely something to think about.
It is.
And it leads us to another like fascinating revelation.
Okay.
Catalina believes that the Old Testament had multiple authors,
Okay.
each with their own perception of Yahweh,
Oh, wow.
possibly influenced by this like dome of fear
Okay.
that she describes.
Right.
She even sees evidence of intentional rewrites and modifications
Oh, wow.
throughout history.
Really?
Yeah, potentially obscuring older versions of the text.
The idea that religious texts have been
Right.
rewritten and reinterpreted throughout history,
It happens.
it's not surprising,
Right.
but it is interesting.
It really is. And it's like how the 10 Commandments themselves
Yeah.
have been interpreted in various ways
Oh, yeah.
throughout history, you know,
Right.
adapting to different levels of consciousness,
Right.
societal norms.
Yeah, it's almost like a game of telephone,
It is.
right, where
Yeah.
the original message gets
Yeah.
distorted over time.
Hmm. And speaking of distortion, let's address this phrase Ishmelech,
Okay.
which translates to man of war,
Okay.
used to describe Yahweh in the Bible.
Wow.
It's a pretty jarring description
It is, yeah.
for a supposedly benevolent God.
It challenges
Yeah.
the image of a loving,
Yeah,
compassionate deity.
it really does.
Yeah.
And Casalina confirms that she senses this like warlike,
Right.
conquering energy
Yeah.
emanating from Yahweh. But there's a twist.
Okay, what is it?
She also senses like a faint,
Mhm.
almost reluctant energy of understanding.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
It's almost as if Yahweh is like trapped in this role of man of war.
Like he can't break free.
Yeah, like he can't fully break free from it.
That's interesting.
Isn't that fascinating?
It's like he's a prisoner
Yeah,
of his own power.
like he can't express like
Right.
his true nature.
That's fascinating.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's where a glimmer of hope emerges.
Oh, really?
Casalina senses that this dome of fear, this energy of control, it's
Yeah.
weakening.
Oh, wow. Really?
She sees a crack forming at the base of this dome.
And what's causing that?
And she believes that this crack is caused by something incredibly powerful.
What is it? Self-love.
Self-love.
Wow.
The idea is that the more we connect with our own like inner light, our
Yeah.
own worthiness,
Mhm.
the less susceptible we are to external manipulation and fear.
Wow.
It's like self-love acts as like a counterforce.
It's like a spiritual rebellion.
Yeah, against the spiritual rebellion.
The forces that keep us trapped
Against the
in
forces
fear and limitation.
keep us trapped in fear and limitation.
That's amazing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful.
It is.
It is.
So it's not about rejecting religion
No.
altogether.
It's about transforming our relationship with it.
Right.
It's like taking back our power.
Yeah.
Right.
It's about choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not letting fear dictate our beliefs. That's a really empowering thought.
It is.
But how does that actually play out in our lives? You know?
Yeah, how do we do that?
How do we cultivate that kind of self-love
Mm-hmm.
and awareness?
Well, think about things like meditation or journaling.
Yeah.
These can be so helpful for becoming aware
Yeah.
of the stories that we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Right?
The fears that we hold on to.
Yeah.
The ways that we might be giving our power away.
And it's like shining a light on our own, like, inner world.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Seeing those patterns and
Yeah.
beliefs that might be holding us back.
Yeah, and then from that place of awareness,
Right.
we could start to like challenge those beliefs
Yeah.
and ask, is this really true?
Exactly.
Or is this something I've been conditioned to believe?
Like, is this really me, or is this like my parents or society
Yeah,
telling me what to think?
yeah.
Right?
Mm.
It's about questioning everything.
Yeah.
Even the things that feel like sacred or untouchable,
Yeah.
which can be really scary.
It can be.
Right.
But I think if a belief is truly rooted in truth,
Yeah.
it can withstand scrutiny.
Yeah.
It'll only become stronger through questioning.
That's true. So it's not about like blind faith.
Right. It's
No,
about conscious faith.
It's about conscious faith. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. It's about choosing to believe in something.
Yeah.
Because it like resonates with our deepest understanding
Yeah.
of ourselves and the universe,
Right.
not because we were told to believe it.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
This makes me think about all the different like religions and spiritual traditions out there.
Right.
Are they all just like different paths up the same mountain?
That's a great question.
Right. Like, is that really true? Or are some paths like more manipulative than
Right.
others,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
If this dome of fear is real,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like some paths might be leading us right into it.
Right into it. Yeah.
That's a tough question.
It's a profound question.
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer.
No.
But I think what's important is to approach any spiritual path with like an open mind,
Yeah.
but also a critical eye.
Right.
To be willing to question,
Yeah.
to learn,
Yeah,
and to
right.
trust our own intuition.
To be discerning.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
To not be afraid to walk away from something that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Even if it's something that, you know, we've believed in
For a long time.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Because ultimately our spiritual journey is about
Finding what resonates with our own truth,
Yeah.
not conforming to someone else's idea of what we should believe.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about Casalina's like direct interaction with Yahweh during the hypnosis session.
Right.
This is where things get really intense.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So imagine a being who initially comes across as dismissive
Oh, wow.
and sarcastic. He claims to have like 1,600 names.
1,600.
1,600 names.
Wow.
Almost as if to like emphasize his vastness and incomprehensibility.
He's trying to like
Yeah.
confuse us?
Right.
Yeah.
Like make it so we can't even understand him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's interesting.
And he avoids answering direct questions about his origins or his connection to the Anunnaki.
Wow.
Not exactly like the warm and fuzzy image of God that people have.
Not at all.
Right.
But what's even more chilling
Okay.
is that he admits to influencing Earth for an infinity
Wow.
and controlling humans
I
by exploiting their fears.
Oh, wow.
It's like he's confirming everything
So the dome of fear is real.
that Casalina suspected about this dome of fear.
Oh.
Right.
Oh.
And he goes even further to admit that he uses suffering, the cycle of reincarnation and karma, to manipulate humanity.
Wow.
It's like a pretty bleak picture
It is bleak.
that he's painting.
Yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah,
It's hard to hear, frankly.
Yeah.
It's really hard to hear.
it is.
But it also raises the question, like, if Yahweh's so powerful,
Right.
why does he need to resort to these kinds of tactics?
Yeah, why not just reveal himself?
Yeah. Why not just show up and be like,
Directly.
I'm here?
Yeah. And guide humanity with love and compassion.
Yeah, like that's what we think God's supposed to do.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, right.
Why is he doing this?
Yeah, why is he doing this?
Maybe there's something about our consciousness that
Yeah.
prevents him
like maybe we can't handle it.
From doing so.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not ready yet.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just about power, you know.
Maybe
No.
control's more important.
Maybe control is more important to him than love.
Than love.
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's possible.
But regardless of his motivations,
Yeah.
his confession is a stark reminder
It is.
of the potential for manipulation and control within the spiritual realm.
It makes you wonder if maybe we've been looking at the whole idea of God all wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not about worshiping like an external authority,
Yeah.
but about recognizing like the divine within ourselves.
I love that idea.
Right.
Yeah. Like maybe we have it all backwards,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it brings us back to like the importance of self-love and empowerment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The more connected we are
Yeah.
to our own inner light,
Yeah.
the less susceptible we are to external manipulation.
Right. So it's not about fighting Yahweh
No.
or rejecting religion altogether.
Yeah, it's about recognizing
It's about recognizing that we have a choice in how we relate
that we have a choice.
to these energies and concepts.
Absolutely.
And that choice is ultimately
Yeah,
what will determine our experience of like the spiritual journey.
exactly.
Wow. This is giving me a lot to think about.
Me too.
We've only just like begun to scratch the surface of this deep dive. I know, right?
There's so much more to explore in terms of like alternative perspectives on Yahweh and like what this means for our own spiritual lives.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we'll be diving into in part 2.
I can't wait.
We'll explore some different interpretations of Yahweh
Yeah.
that offer a more hopeful and like empowering view of the divine.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more. So stay tuned for part 2 where we'll continue to unpack these like complex and fascinating ideas.
Awesome.
Okay.
Sounds good. So we've been talking about this idea that self-love could be like the key to breaking free from this dome of fear surrounding Yahweh.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if maybe like the path to spiritual liberation isn't about rejecting religion altogether,
Right.
but about like transforming our relationship with it.
Yeah, like taking back our power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we have a choice in how we perceive and interact with the spiritual realm. You know, we're not just like passive recipients of divine will.
Right, like we actually have agency.
We do.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a really empowering thought.
it is. Yeah.
But how do we actually do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like how do we cultivate that kind of self-love
Yeah.
and awareness?
Well, think about practices like meditation or journaling.
Okay.
These can be like incredibly helpful
Hmm.
for becoming aware of the stories we tell ourselves,
Yeah.
the fears we hold on to,
Yeah.
the ways that we might be giving our power away.
It's like shining a light on our own
Yeah,
inner world.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Seeing those patterns,
Mhm.
beliefs
Yeah.
that might be holding us back.
And then from that place of awareness,
Yeah.
we can start to challenge those beliefs.
Okay.
Ask ourselves, is this really true?
Right.
Is this something I've been conditioned to believe?
Like, is this really me, or is this like, you know, my parents or society or
Yeah,
whatever telling me what to think?
exactly.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's about questioning
Questioning everything.
everything.
Even the things.
Even the things that feel sacred and untouchable,
Yeah, absolutely.
which can be scary.
It can be scary.
Right.
But I think if a belief is truly rooted in truth,
Yeah.
it can withstand that scrutiny.
Yeah.
It'll only become stronger.
Through questioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not about blind faith.
Yeah.
It's about conscious faith.
Yeah. I like that. It's about choosing to believe in something
Yeah,
because it resonates with our deepest understanding of ourselves
Right,
and
yeah.
the universe.
exactly.
Not just because someone told us to believe it. Yep.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
This makes me think about all the different religions
Yeah.
and spiritual traditions out there.
Right.
Are they all just different paths
That's a great question.
up the same mountain?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or are some paths more
Manipulative than others?
Yeah. Are they leading us to that dome of fear?
Yeah, like, are they leading us right into it?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a tough question.
It's a profound question.
There's no easy answer.
No.
I think what's important is to approach any spiritual path with an open mind,
Mhm.
but also a critical eye.
Be discerning?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, to not be afraid to walk away
Yeah.
from something that doesn't feel right.
Even if it's something we've believed in for a long time.
For a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, our spiritual journey is about finding what resonates
Yeah.
with our own truth.
With our own truth, not someone else's.
Not someone else's idea of what we should believe.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about
All right.
Kesselina's direct interaction with Yahweh during the hypnosis session.
Okay.
This is where things get really intense.
Okay.
So imagine a being who initially comes across as dismissive and sarcastic.
Wow, okay.
Claims to have 1,600 names. 1,600 names.
1,600 names.
Wow.
Almost as if to emphasize his vastness.
Right.
And incomprehensibility.
Well, trying to, like, confuse us.
Yeah.
And make it so we can't even understand him.
Right, like you can't even pin him down.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And he avoids answering direct questions about his origins or connections to the Anunnaki.
Wow.
Not exactly the warm and fuzzy image of God that most people have.
Not at all.
Right.
Yeah.
But what's even more chilling is that he admits to influencing Earth for an infinity.
Oh, wow.
And controlling humans by exploiting their fears.
Yeah, so he's confirming everything.
It's like he's confirming
about the Dome of Fear.
Everything that Tessalina suspected about this Dome of Fear.
Wow, that's heavy.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he goes even further to admit that he uses suffering, the cycle of reincarnation and karma.
To manipulate humanity. Wow.
It's a pretty bleak picture he's painting.
It is bleak.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really hard to hear.
It is.
But it raises the question.
Yeah.
If Yahweh is so powerful, why does he need to resort to these kinds of tactics?
Yeah, why not just show up?
Yeah, why not just reveal himself directly?
Yeah.
Guide humanity with love and compassion.
Yeah, that's what you think God should do.
Like, that's what we think God's supposed to do.
Right, yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, why is he doing this?
Why is he doing this?
Right.
Maybe there's something about our consciousness
that
prevents him from doing so.
Maybe.
Maybe we're not ready.
We can't handle it.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not ready yet.
Maybe, or maybe it's just about power.
Yeah.
Maybe control is more important than love.
That's possible.
It's possible. But regardless of his motivations, this is a stark reminder.
It really is.
Of the potential for manipulation and control.
Yeah.
Within the spiritual realm.
It really makes you wonder if maybe we've been looking at the whole idea of God wrong. You know?
Maybe it's not about worshiping an external authority.
Yeah, like maybe it's not about that.
But recognizing the divine within ourselves.
Yeah, like maybe we have it all backwards.
Yeah. I love that idea now.
Yeah, and it brings us back to the importance of self-love and empowerment.
The more connected we are to our own inner light, the less susceptible we are.
To that manipulation.
To external manipulation.
Right. So it's not about fighting Yahweh or rejecting religion altogether.
It's about recognizing that we have a choice.
It's about recognizing we have a choice in how we relate to these energies and concepts.
Yeah.
And that choice is what will determine our experience of the spiritual journey.
I love that.
Wow. This is giving me a lot to think about.
I know, right?
And we've only begun to scratch the surface of this deep dive.
I know, there's so much more.
There's so much more to explore.
In
terms of like alternative perspectives on Yahweh and like what this means for our own spiritual lives.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to be diving into in part 3.
Yes, we're going to be exploring some different interpretations of Yahweh that offer a more hopeful and empowering view of the divine.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned. We've been exploring some pretty intense and potentially unsettling concepts, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a lot to process.
Like this whole idea of a dome of fear.
Right.
And a deity who's using like manipulation and control.
Yeah, it's hard to reconcile those images.
It really is.
With, you know,
a traditional view.
A traditional view of a loving, compassionate God.
Right, like that warm and fuzzy God that so many people believe in.
Right.
But it's important to remember that, you know, these interpretations, especially like the ones coming from Catalina, they're filtered through like her own unique perspective.
Right, it's just one perspective.
Yeah, and the lens of investigative hypnosis.
Exactly, and it's a fascinating perspective.
Oh, it is.
For sure.
It's so thought-provoking.
But it is crucial to consider other interpretations as well.
Okay, so let's broaden our scope a bit.
Okay.
What are some alternative perspectives that might offer a more hopeful or balanced view?
Well, for starters, some scholars argue that, you know, Yahweh, as depicted in the Old Testament, is actually a far more complex figure than just a vengeful, controlling God.
So there's more nuance to him.
There's nuance.
than we realize.
Yeah. They point to passages that emphasize his compassion, mercy, and his deep love for humanity.
So it's not all like doom and gloom.
It's not all fire and brimstone.
Right.
Right.
It makes sense that there would be different interpretations within a single text.
Yeah.
Especially one that's as ancient and multifaceted.
Complicated.
Right.
It's like any sacred text.
Yeah.
There's room for multiple readings and understandings.
That's true.
And some spiritual traditions. View Yahweh not as a literal being, but as a symbol, an archetype.
Okay, so not so much a deity sitting up in the clouds on a throne, but more of a representation.
More like a force.
Of a particular force or energy.
Or energy, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like some see Yahweh as representing the masculine principle. In the universe. The force of creation and action.
Right. But that archetype can be expressed in both positive and negative ways.
Absolutely. It's all about balance.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have these mystical traditions that view Yahweh as both transcendent and immanent.
Can you explain what that means?
Sure. So transcendent means that he's beyond our comprehension. It's a mystery that we can never fully grasp with our limited human minds. But also immanent. Meaning he's present within us.
Oh, wow.
And all of creation.
So he's everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
Right, exactly. It's like that saying, God is closer to you than your own breath. It suggests that he's not separate from us.
Right.
But an integral part of who we are.
Wow. So it's like we're all connected.
We are all connected.
To this divine energy.
To divine, yeah.
I'm starting to see how all these different interpretations can coexist.
Exactly. It's like we're looking at the same mountain from different angles. Each perspective giving us just a partial glimpse
of the whole
picture.
It's amazing how one figure can have so many different meanings.
It is. And I think that's the beauty of spiritual exploration. You know, there's no one right answer. No definitive interpretation.
It's all about like what feels right to you.
Exactly. It's about finding what resonates with your own heart. And your own mind.
With your intuition.
What feels true for you on a deep intuitive level.
Right. And that understanding can evolve over time.
Absolutely. It's a journey.
It's a process.
Not a destination.
Yeah. It's not about like getting to the right answer.
No.
It's about embracing the process.
The ongoing process of inquiry.
And
discovery.
Yeah. And I think that's what this whole deep dive has been about. Encouraging us to question. To explore.
To expand our understanding.
To expand our understanding of the spiritual realm.
And ultimately to connect with the divine. In a way that feels authentic and empowering.
And to remember that we have a choice.
We do have a choice.
Right.
We're not victims here.
We can choose to see the divine as a controlling force, or we can choose to see it as a source of love, inspiration, and guidance.
Absolutely. We have the power to shape our own spiritual experience.
Wow.
We're not just pawns in some cosmic game.
That's such a powerful message.
It is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Yahweh, what's like the most important takeaway you'd want our listeners to remember?
I think the most important thing to remember is to never stop questioning. Never stop seeking. Never stop trusting your own intuition.
Wow.
The spiritual journey is a lifelong adventure. Filled with twists and turns.
It is.
And there's always something new to discover.
Yeah, so true.
Stay curious, stay open, and most importantly, stay true to yourself.
Beautifully said. Thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
We hope it sparked your curiosity, challenged your assumptions.
Absolutely.
And inspired you to continue your own exploration of the divine.
Keep searching.
Until next time, keep diving deep.